So the Portland Trailblazers just traded Norman Powell and Robert Covington to the Los Angeles Clippers, and in my opinion, I think they got finessed. They got like Eric Bledsoe, Keon Johnson, and picks, but I'm not here to talk about the trade. Obviously, right now, Portland is in a spot where they're on the verge of rebuilding. But also, they're in a stage where they don't necessarily have to rebuild. So Portland's in a very confusing spot. So in today's video, I'm going to talk a little bit about this Portland Trailblazers team, their three options on what they should do come trade deadline or even come in future years, and then I'll give you my opinion on what I think they should do. So yeah, let's get right into the video. The Portland Trailblazers are not playing good this year. Personally, I didn't expect them to be good, and many other people didn't expect them to be good. But they are still surprising me on how disappointing they are. They're 21-33, which is the 10th seed in the Western Conference, and the 9th seed Los Angeles Lakers are a whole 5 games ahead of them. CJ McCollum missed a good chunk of games, and Damian Lillard is now out for the season pretty much. I personally don't think he's going to come back. So yes, there have been injuries, but they are just not performing well, even when everyone's healthy. And I see a lot of people coming from different sides talking about what Portland should do. Every year, Damian Lillard pretty much carries his team. He has other pieces, but that's not the point. Every year, Damian Lillard plays so good, but come playoff time, the pieces around him just don't perform well, and the Blazers always get out early. Damian Lillard is one of the best players to not have a ring, and every season, people think they're going to blow it up and give Dame some help, or they're just going to start a rebuild. But still, this year, they've done nothing, just adding a bunch of role players. So yes, Damian Lillard is one of the most loyal players in the league, but I don't know how he can take this. Every year, Portland insists on giving Lillard the perfect team around him, but at the end of the day, it never works. Speaking of Dame, he is having a little bit of a down season, scoring less points, only averaging 24. He's only putting up 4 rebounds, 7 assists, averaging 3 turnovers, not even 1 steal, and is shooting the ball very inefficiently. He has been picking it up recently because he had a slow start to the season, but now obviously he will most likely not return. CJ McCollum isn't playing bad himself either, averaging about 21 points a game, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 turnovers, a steal, half a block, shooting 44% from the field and 38% from 3. Jusuf Nurkic, another good player who is having a good season. He's putting up 14 points and 11 rebounds, solid for a big man, shooting 54% from the field, and is averaging 1 steal and half a block a game. And then some other notable role players on this team were Norman Powell, Robert Covington, who are now traded, but now they have Eric Bledsoe, along with other guys like Larry Nance Jr., Anthony Simons, who personally I think he's going to be something really good next year or in the future, Cody Zeller, and newly acquired Keon Johnson. So before I get into the Portland Trailblazers 3 options, I want to just talk about what is going wrong for them, in my opinion. I think it's a little mix of regression and lack of star power and injuries. Obviously, the Trailblazers are a very unhealthy team. CJ McCollum's missed a lot of games, and Damian Lillard is now most likely out for the season. He could return, but I don't think he will. Regression, you can see that Damian Lillard is not himself. I don't know if this has anything to do with the new basketball, the new rules, but at the end of the day, Damian Lillard is not himself, and I have reasons to believe why it is regression. It happens to the best of us. And then lack of star power is kind of what I talked about earlier. The Portland Trailblazers front office just refuses to give Damian Lillard the help he needs. These role players are not going to cut it. And also they have a new coach in Chauncey Billups who seems to not be working for this team. So that is pretty much the Portland Trailblazers players' individual statistics and why I think they're not performing well. But that's not the main point of this video. Now I am going to give you guys the 3 options on what Portland should do, go in a little bit in depth about each option, and I'll give you my opinion on what option they should do. First option, start a complete rebuild. The Blazers just traded their arguably 3rd and 4th best player, Norman Powell and Robert Covington. So I do suspect that they might start a rebuild in the upcoming future, as early as this trade deadline. Maybe the next one to go will be like a Cody Zeller type guy, and then maybe Dame, and then CJ, or other way around. I think the whole point of a rebuild will be trade all these guys for picks / young stars. Obviously, this would involve trading Damian Lillard and CJ McCollum, in which you can get a lot of draft picks, and then you can also get some young players, and go the Oklahoma City Thunder route. Now the Thunder are set for a locked good future. Obviously, they would play bad for the rest of the season, but that's fine if you know you have a good future. Option number 2 is get Dame some help. Though on paper, the Portland Trail Blazers may be a good team, and they do look like they have decent chemistry in the regular season, you can tell this team every year, no matter how different it is, they're never ready for the playoffs. They're never ready to go up against these amazing teams, and they just never get success in the playoffs. Every year, the Blazers front office tries to just tweak the team a little bit, but that's not going to work. You got to go big or go home. You already traded Powell and Covington, so why not just finish it off? Trade CJ McCollum, trade all the role players. But the only difference is don't trade them for picks / young players. Trade them for another star to complement Damian Lillard. CJ is a great player and he is one of my favorite players in the league, don't get me wrong, but he just does not work alongside Damian Lillard. I would like to see CJ McCollum lead his own team. It would be pretty interesting. And then Portland can get another star to complement Lillard, and they can have a good shot of winning the championship now in Dame's final few years. Don't pull like a Los Angeles Lakers and trade all your role players, but just get another star that can fit Lillard more and try new things. And then the final option is just ride it out or just make a few little tweaks. And what this means is just let it be. Barely trade anybody come trade deadline. Just let the team be. Dame's out for the season. Your season's kind of hopeless already. Just wait till Dame retires or wait for a couple off seasons before you really do anything big. So those are the 3 options. Start a rebuild, get Dame some help, or just do nothing. Now I'm going to talk about which option I think the Blazers should do. Obviously, it's not do nothing because that's going to leave them in this level of mediocrity that you just do not want to be in. They'll never get good picks, and they'll never go far in the playoffs, so they're in like a lose-lose situation, so don't do that. So now that leaves us with get a bunch of stars to complement Lillard or start a rebuild. Here's the thing with getting a bunch of stars. There's no guarantee that you are going to win the championship. The West is super stacked with the Warriors, Suns, Grizzlies. You can even argue a team like the Jazz and the Mavericks. All these teams are so good, and even theoretically, Dame and another star might not even be able to beat these other teams. And also, we can't forget that Damian Lillard is out for the season. So you have to think next season, is Dame going to be worse? Is the star they get going to be worse? So it's just another very risky situation, because then if you still don't have a ring, those stars retire and you're in a very sticky situation come future because you do not have young pieces. Which is why I am going to go with the 3rd option, start a rebuild. It's the safest option, it's a win-win for everyone, and we've seen it work in the past. 2 prime examples right now are the Oklahoma City Thunder, they have a good future, and the Orlando Magic, who also have a good future. Dame will get what he wants. He can go to a contending team and get a ring, potentially. And Portland gets a fresh new start, dive to the bottom of the standings, get prospects, just develop your team. I think it's the safest option and has the best chance of a good outcome. So in conclusion, maybe not this trade deadline. Maybe you want to keep Dame a little bit longer, that's fine. But I better see some moves in the offseason for Portland. I want Dame to be freed. I want him to get a ring. And Portland is not that place. So Portland, you guys should just blow it up. So that's gonna wrap up my video talking about the Portland Trail Blazers and what I think they should do. I really hope you guys enjoyed. Be sure to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.